Hi and welcome to another tutorial from Blender Insight, and this time, what makes a pattern realistic? According to me, it's these main keys, so light and shadows. You should have variation in both structure and roughness, and also variation in color. And above that, you also need to see so we don't have repetitions, and fetch all the different patterns that you can see in something. And what do I mean with different patterns? Well, take a look at this concrete. It's a photo, so we can just take a look at that. So you can see we have like circular scratches here. So that is one clear pattern. But we also have these small scratches, so like Voronoi cracks, you can see them here. And we have like islands, and this is really good because that breaks the repetition in an image. You always try to get something that breaks the repetitions in a good way. So this is really good to have in. You also have more ordinary cracks like straight lines. So you can add that like a filter on top of the other things here. And then you can see that in these islands there are like layers of depth. So it's not just one single color, it's also in depth, and then you add some noise on top of everything. So it's a lot of different things that you can see on this image, and I took a few examples. We can see more if we go into detail, but all of these patterns should be included as separate modules, and by modules I mean that you build them as layers. That gives flexibility. So if we say that these are like patterns, then you can work with them one by one, and then just include them as you will, duplicate, scale, change. You don't have to be afraid of changing a pattern because you can just add it to it later on. And how can we control this in Blender then? Well, there is several ways to do it. So using mask, of course. We can also use the UV to control it. We can use external object like an empty. We can filter it out to color ramp, map range, or using logic in the mix color type, or using vertex colors. So there is a lot of ways to do it, and I can go through them very quick. So we use a greater than or less than, then we can filter it out with the number, but we can also use a texture. So in this example I take a checker texture and take that in, and if I take the color to black, I can then control the checker texture in my less than, so you only get noise on those checkers that are like black. And when we use the UV, then you can just move the UV and you can see that the texture will change. You can also scale it, as you can see, and you can rotate it if you want to, and then you rotate the texture. So you have total control if you're using the UV to handle the texture. We can also use external object. In this case I've done an empty, so you can see empty here. And then I just connected a length to it, so I can get if it's closed then I get 0, otherwise I get 1. You can see if I now close in, you can see the checker texture. If I'm far away, you can see the noise texture. So it's really versatile, and you can add more than one and control different things like rain drip or something like that. You can also filter out noise. So if you use map range or color range, you can take away parts of the noise and just keep small parts of it. So like color stains or something like that. And in that way you also can get something that is non-repetitive and use this map range or color range. And then we had this mix color, and the thing with mix color is that you should learn the types. You can see linear light here have a totally different result, as you can see now, compared to the mix we used before, or like darken in this case. And you can say darken do almost nothing, but you can then take something else. So if I take, let's say, exclusion, you can see it totally different from the other ones. So if you can handle the different types, you will get a good start for handling textures. Vertex paint is something that we use mostly in games. So here you have total control. You need some polygons, but then you can go into vertex paint and you can paint it in different kinds of colors. Here I just use black and white to show you how it works. So now I have got select the vertex paint and move the cursor and do some pattern here, and if I don't do a new vertex paint layer, it's called attribute by default. So I will use that attribute in my shader. So you can see input, and then I use the color attribute and select attribute here and use a mix color that I then control with my vertex paint. So you either get the noise texture or you get the red as I get here. So to get a good result when you work with this, you start with the structure, then you work with the height, and after that you start with proper light and HDRI to be able to put in the correct base colors. And then you take all the color variations in the final end, so to say. So if we go back to our concrete, the photo, so what colors can you see here? We have a lot of colors, as you can see, but some natural darker on depth, of course. I think it's like white paint at the top, and it's even darker in some spots, more like blue or something like that. And on other spots it's brown, green, and that's more on the edges, but they are in there. And some random color of some reason could be good to have in the texture to get it more realistic. We have some white paint, white base color, but you can also see if we go even closer that scratches on the surface are more light gray than the deeper island, so to say. And that the dark gray is not just dark gray, you have at least 3 different base colors in there, and the same with the paint layer. You have a lot of smaller variations even there. And then they have painted again or something, and you get even whiter in some spots. So a lot of different variations in color. And how can we handle all these colors then? Well, you can do it by using what we did previously. So you use the structure and pattern to control the base colors. Then you use the shadow and dark from the height. And after that you can use ambient occlusion or curvature if you have like an object, and a bit of random smudge that are based on the height, and then totally random in the end. So if you follow those, then you can get it to work. And now some technical tips on the color and the smudge. So what you need to learn is to use hue, saturation and value, and how to bake ambient occlusion and get the dirty vertex colors, how to handle pointiness to get the edges, and also some general vertex paint. So if you can handle those, you can also add in a good color. And you have those chapter 36 to 45 where I went through this. And here's a few examples I've done, so you can see how close we can come. So this is a reference image, and I have then tried to make it in Blender, and this is totally made in Blender, also the materials. Same here, a reference image that I took, and then I replicated that in Blender. We have something like this. It's okay, I think. I found this image here that I then started to try and do to Blender, and then I got this one. And then finally is this reference image where I copied the material as far as I could, and then I got this one. So you can come rather close, I think, and now it's up to you to practice and learn, and hopefully you'll learn something about this. And I just say bye for now and see you later.